No, don't do it. Please don't do it. Robert the Ghost Guerrero, he said he's down for a piece of Jaron Boots in his paws. He's down to make the fight. He says Jaron's a great fighter, but he want that smoke. That's what I want to talk about in this video. Let's go. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Robert the Ghost Guerrero just defeated again Andre Berto. It was the final swan song card for Showtime Boxing, and post-fight, he was asked questions. He was participant on the card, and the name of Jaron Ennis came up. This is what Robert Guerrero had to say, quote, "I know that Andre Berto wanted his get back on everybody, and he tried tonight. I think I surprised him when I came out and I boxed him. I think he thought that I was going to put pressure on him like I did in the first fight when we fought in 2012 and banged with him. It seemed like every time we were on the ropes, that's when he was on his game. Definitely." He says definitely. He was asked about fighting Jaron Ennis, and he says definitely he's serious about a title shot. And he says regarding Jaron Ennis, because he's the champion now with the IBF, he says bring him on. Guerrero never shies away from any fight. Boots is sharp, slick, smooth, and an incredible fighter. That's why he's a champion. I feel great. Why not? He's definitely as good as they say he is. It's about getting the opportunity and showcasing it. I know he's never been pressed hard. He's always had guys that boxed in front of him and he outguns them. I would love to get that fight if it happens. Talent-wise, he might be. It's just a matter of time of him showcasing. And that question was, is Boots as talented as Floyd Mayweather? Like, does he have that type of talent? Stay tuned to the end of this video for Ego Thoughts. Now a word from our sponsor. Are you tired of your YouTube videos not getting any views? Well, consider TubeBuddy. I've used TubeBuddy for years to scale up my YouTube channel. Now we're sitting over 200,000 subscribers. TubeBuddy is a browser extension that offers a ton of built-in productivity and time-saving services to take your channel to the next level. Use my link in the description to get started with TubeBuddy and level up your channel faster. We working. And we are back. Ego Thoughts. Now I can appreciate Robert Guerrero. He's a veteran in the game, fought Floyd Mayweather, fought Keith Thurman, fought Berto. He's fought all the tough names. I don't recall a time where he really shied away from a challenge. But just like in a boxing match, sometimes you must protect the fighter from themselves. Like when you see a guy getting pummeled and it's clearly not going their way, and they got heart, like even the Sonny Edwards versus Bam Rodriguez was kind of like this, where it's like he's clearly starting to lose and break up, his face is breaking up, and Bam looks like he can keep going more rounds. At some point, you kind of have to save the fighter from themselves because some people are just too tough for their own good. And I think that's Robert Guerrero. Again, he hasn't really shied away from a challenge, so I say this respectfully. I do not want to see this fight. Robert Guerrero, like 40 years old, he hasn't been active, and we're literally talking about like game-changing punishment that I believe he would take in a fight with Jaron Boots Ennis. And that's not being facetious. I'm not being funny. This is like definitely career-ending punishment that I feel Boots Ennis would inflict upon Robert the Ghost Guerrero. And that's not a slight, but as we know, boxing is a type of sport where it's very, very challenging to be at the top of your game with inactivity. So I'm a big supporter of staying active. So that in and of itself, why would I pick Guerrero to even have a chance with a guy like Jaron Boots Ennis, who's way bigger? I've never seen them next to each other, but from the eye test, Boots looks way bigger. He's stronger. Guerrero's a guy who came up from like basically featherweight, and he's 40 years old, so Boots will have every advantage. Bigger, stronger, taller, longer reach, more explosive, more frequency with activity, better jab, better athleticism, younger, so youth. So when it comes to a fight where, like, the best fights are fights where there's stylistic matchups where you can really make an argument for either guy. And for a fight like this, I can't make no other argument but boots Ennis out of Philly. And I think it would be like, it's really, I don't know, maybe this is just the human in me, but I find it sad when fighters stick around boxing too long and they start getting stretched out like worse than their career, like Victor Chinian, even Roy Jones, where I don't really personally like to see that. Like even seeing Eric Morales, Danny Garcia knocked him and he almost flew through the ropes and stuff like that. I don't prefer to see that because it's just a cruel reminder that of the harsh realities that boxing is not for play. And I really feel like guys from the yesteryear, I don't want to say jealous or envious, but I feel like they almost wish they came up in this time because the opportunities, like you see Saudi Arabia, this card this weekend, they got all the heavyweights, these guys are getting paid great money, and you got Tank Davises and Stars and Canelo, and they're making all this money. So they want a piece of that. But if it's not your era, it's not your era. Hopefully, as a boxer, you made the right choices in your career. And like Floyd said, got a great team. I got a great team. I made smart investments, right? And hopefully you made those smart investments, because if you stick around this sport, there's only been a handful of guys, Mayweather, maybe Pacquiao, B-Hop, Marquez, only a handful of guys that were able to beat elites late in their career when it doesn't seem like it. And I watched the Showtime card and I watched Robert Guerrero's fight, and I've watched other Robert Guerrero fights since he's unretired and come back, and nothing shows me that he's gonna beat Jaron Boots Ennis, nothing. And I've watched Robert Guerrero since he's unretired and seen his fights, and I just don't see it at all. And even watching his very last fight with Berto, that's the type of match that he probably should have been. Somebody who's you've already fought, somebody who's equal in age, somebody who's not the biggest welterweight in terms of like stature, height. He's muscular, but he's not the biggest guy, right? These types of things. That's where Robert Guerrero's level should be at this. Like I can't tell a man, how to make his coin, and I can only provide my thoughts, in terms of a person retiring. So if he's absolutely not going to retire, I think getting a title is just too ambitious with the current marketplace. You know what I mean? It's like you're trying to get a title, you're gonna have to go through Terrence Crawford or Jaron Ennis. They're the only two welterweights with the title. And then you can't move up and get a title. Tim Tszyu, Jermell Charlo, Sebastian Fundora. Like, none of these fights seem likely. I mean, even if you move down in weight, which at age 40, I don't even know if he can move down in weight to fight at 140, because he did come from a lighter division. But as we know, when your body's adjusted to welterweight and you get older and your metabolism slows, it's going to be harder to get down to lower weights that you might have been in the past. So, I mean, he's really kind of trapped at welterweight, and at welterweight, it's stacked enough. And when it comes to champions, you're not going to beat Terrence Crawford being Errol Spence had a year of inactivity, but was still considered a primed fighter, despite being accidents, a detached retina, and a year layoff. I mean, he was unbeaten, and Terrence Crawford just totally thrashed him, So how are you going to beat the likes of Boots? How are you going to beat the likes of Bud, to realize this dream of yours of becoming a champion? Even the secondary belt, the division, like Stanionis. I mean, it's just a lot of good guys right now. And that's no offense, that's my honest opinion. Drop your thoughts in the comment section.